In this video, we're going to take a look at how to search and filter your inventory in Beacon on the web. Any of the filters and toggles that we're looking at today are also available on Beacon Mobile. So first we'll navigate over to the All Inventory tab. And the first thing we'll note is that at the top of the page, you can switch between your devices and your containers. So when we're on the Devices tab, we're looking at each individual device listed out on its own line. If you click on the caret, you can expand to see a little bit more detail, and if you click on the actual item, it'll open up its detail screen. Same thing goes for containers. These are all of our containers that are holding other pieces of inventory. When you transfer a container, it moves all of that inventory with it. All of these containers function the same way. You can see some more information here, and if you click on it, it'll open up the detail screen. You can see up at the top that already by switching to the Containers tab, we've applied a filter to our inventory. And if we want to clear filters at any time, you can click Clear Filters right there. It'll bring you back to the Devices screen. So the first thing we'll take a look at is the search bar. The search bar is a great way to pull up inventory by catalog number or by lot or other pieces of information that you might be looking for. And as you're doing this, you'll notice I only typed in a few characters and it brought up a whole bunch of options. But it's not a specific search. We have a couple different catalog numbers that meet this requirement. So if you want to click for exact search matches, you can change your search parameter by clicking on the little AB here. You can see we have nothing that matches this specifically. So if I finish out the catalog number, it'll update my search to items that match that exact search parameter. So if you want to get real specific, you can, but most of the time I find that searching generally gets me what I want. Second, you can also pull up the barcode scanner by clicking on this little square icon. That'll allow you to scan a barcode using the camera on your device or an external scanner that you connect to your device. So either way, you'll be able to scan a barcode, and that'll run a search parameter based on the text of that barcode. The key thing with that is that the UDI or barcode has to be entered in Beacon in order for it to return results. So as long as you have your UDI information or your other barcodes loaded into your inventory, this can be a great way to pull up things you're looking for. And then next, let's take a look at our filters. So we have a vast array of filters that allow you to search and cross-section your inventory by pretty much any field that we store related to your inventory data. So you can search by specific barcodes, UDIs, serials, and lots, again, utilizing a barcode scanner to do that. Something that I use a lot of the time is the custody filter. So if you click on the custody filter, you can select specific users to view the inventory that they have in their custody. You could even select numerous users to look at a grouping of a couple different users to see how inventory is spread throughout the field. And then you have the option within the filter screen to add additional filters. So again, creating more of a cross-section of your data as opposed to just running one search term. So now we can look at that specific item that we were looking at before and select, again, specific catalog numbers that match it. So here, even with this one catalog number, I see I have two manufacturers, and then we have, some additional catalog numbers that fit the bill. So select the one that makes sense or a few of them, click Add Selected, and you can go down the line and select as many of these filters as you want. So a couple that I want to talk through while we're doing this are status. So if you're a company that uses stocking orders to create facility stock, there may be a time when you want to take a look at facility stock inventory. You can really easily do that using the status filter, which also then makes a facility field appear. That lets you look at facility stock for specific facilities. So that's a key thing to remember as you're filtering your inventory. Also in status, you can take a look at your expired inventory. So if you want to look at specifically inventory that is expired and needs to come back or that you need to do something with, that's a really easy way to do it. As we move down here, hold status is another great filter. If you are using these hold statuses to quarantine or otherwise control your inventory, you can take a look at those different bodies of inventory just by filtering. A rather new feature, we can take a look at any inventory that's restricted to be domestic versus international. If you have loaner inventory that's out in the field and you want to see inventory that's going to be due back in the next couple of days, or inventory that's overdue, this is also a great filter to use. Really easily get a cross section of that data. And then a few others that you may want to use. Another really critical filter that I want to point out exists with these checkbox down here in the bottom. There's a number of these that are useful, just looking at billable inventory, just looking at inventory and pending transfers. I mean, you can read through these, they're all pretty self-explanatory. But the one I want to point out is show all used and deactivated inventory. As you may recall, inventory in Beacon never gets deleted. When you use an item or otherwise deactivate it, it stays in that deactivated status. So you can always go back and view this inventory. You can view what case it was used in. You can view its transfer history. That's the whole point of being able to audit the chains of custody for your inventory. So if you check this box, that'll bring up all of that deactivated inventory. So if you keep this unchecked, you're looking at active inventory only. Then a couple other useful features here. You can search by specific import. If you want to see inventory that was created with a certain import, you can look at the import name. That also, creates a good reason to use good import names, so you'd be able to identify the import you're looking for. And then lastly, the expiration filter here. So rather than just looking at expired inventory, maybe you want to look at inventory that's expiring in a certain date range. So 68 days to 200 days out is what I'm looking at here. And so you can really get a cross-section of your expired or going to be expiring data at any point in time in the future. So hopefully with all these filters and search parameters, you now have a good idea of how you can cross-section and look through your inventory.